As of today, the city will no longer prosecute these tickets.
You can still see some of the damage left behind. The cars went right into those bushes. The caution tape is still here, and the parking meter is pushed over. Well, Rob, Local 12 sued the city of Cincinnati after they denied a request to look at these messages surrounding the resignation of former city manager Harry Black.
So when you said back in 2015 you wanted 10,000 people out of poverty, 5 years, you didn't mean starting the clock then. You meant you had to get everything up running and then start the clock?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't go as fast as I would have liked in terms of starting, but I wasn't in charge.
Current at the Banks, next to Great American Ballpark, was built with long-term residents in mind. Barbara Smurder is one of the original residents. She's lived here for 7 years.
I didn't move here to live in a hotel, and that's what I feel like I'm living here now.
Longtime resident Scott Hickman feels the same way.
Because I don't know who I'm passing walking down the hallway. If it's someone that lives here, obviously I know that they're not just a random person who you don't know their background. Like the people that live here it's a community.
But anyone can be a part of the current community, as long as you have an ID and a credit card.
Now we don't know who's coming in and out of our building, and it's kind of scary.
I mean, it's crazy.
Scott pays $1,700 a month for his apartment, but when we rented an apartment here for one night, it only cost us $200.
Well, if they can get it for $200, why aren't they staying at a hotel?
Our listing for a 2-bedroom apartment was posted by a host supposedly named Hannah Ewing, who claims to be a Cincinnati native. But Hannah's picture is a picture of a model named Jessica Clements. This 2017 Boston Globe article says Jessica is actually from Massachusetts. Our check-in instructions clearly stated this is a residential building and warned against contacting on-site staff. That comes with a $150 fee. But next to the current on the bank's name is a new name, The Guild, which advertises itself as a boutique hotel. Once you're inside, you have access to the same amenities long-term residents like Scott and Barbara pay top dollar for.
Right now it's touted, as you can see, luxury apartments. We don't feel like it's luxury apartments right now.
I don't know who's next door to me, which is concerning because who knows what kind of background checks they do. Like everyone that lives here, to my knowledge, has a credit check, a background check, but I don't know who these people are living here for 2 days at a time.
While Airbnb does verify your identification, there's no background check and no credit check. We went through the process to see what it's like. All it took was sending Airbnb our license and credit card information. So now we have the key fob. This key fob gives us access to the swimming pool, the fitness area, and everywhere else in this building. There's also this sign posted twice here that says any noise violations or disturbances will cost you a $500 fee.
And the one issue,
Scott says there's been plenty of noise violations and he's concerned for his safety and security.
one morning I was woken up by police barricading into an apartment. And I don't know if that was a resident or if it was part of the Airbnb system. But that did happen.
Indeed, it did happen. Back in April, U.S. Marshals arrested Pierre Taylor, also known as Birdman, in an apartment here after he was indicted for allegedly distributing fentanyl and marijuana. It's unclear if Taylor was a permanent resident or renting for a few days. Police reports filed for the current at the bank's address list the building as a hotel. Cincinnati City Council member David Mann has worked on legislation to regulate these rentals.
When you're renting a unit regularly, it starts to become like a hotel. We want to make sure that it's safe. And thirdly, there was some concern in some neighborhoods that units that were available for permanent housing were being converted to daily turnover and taking away from our housing stock.
Mann also co-sponsored this city council motion to investigate the legality of current at the banks converting 70 units to short-term rentals. The motion also asked the city administration if current at the banks should pay a hotel tax. Mann points out the bank's developer received public support in the form of a 15-year tax abatement worth $12.9 million.
And we gave that public support because we expected to have residential units in an area that we want to attract additional residents. If some of those units are being used for overnight rental and we're getting a lot of transient traffic, that's very different than what we expected to achieve with our tax dollars.
It's also not what Scott and Barbara expected when they signed their lease. So now they both plan on finding a new place to live.
The apartment rentals and the Airbnb, among other reasons.
We just want our safety. I just want to be secure. I want to be happy.
We want something that's acting like a hotel to be regulated like a hotel.
Walter Smith Randolph, Local 12 News. In the tiny town of Brookville, Indiana, at a church named after an archangel who battled demons, is a priest who battles demons.
I always say I was at the wrong place at the wrong times.
Father Vince Lampert was handpicked for this position, and he has traveled the world.
I've been to South Africa, I've been to Ireland.
Conducting more than 40 exorcisms, he's seen it all.
7 different voices came out of the person's mouth at the same time.
And your reaction?
Just like this. Not impressed.
You're not impressed with 7 demons?
No, I'm impressed with the power of God.
The power of Christ indeed compels Father Vince to conduct his work. He attributes the increase in exorcisms to the decline of faith.
If somebody's dealing with the demonic, it's always a matter of faith. So it isn't just about casting evil out, it's helping the person invite God into their life.
14 years ago, when Father Vince was trained to be an exorcist, he was one of 12 American priests approved by the Vatican to perform the ritual. Today,
that number is more than 100. And I think the church is appointing more exorcists because if the church doesn't address the issue, then people may end up going other places for the help that they're seeking.
the demand for exorcisms is so high, the Vatican hosted a summit in 2018 to train more priests. Father Vince says he gets 2,000 requests for exorcisms per year. He estimates about 10% of those requests are worthy to be investigated.
The most common misconception is that it's pretty common, that it happens all the time. And again, true cases of demonic possession are extremely rare.
But when it's real, it's unforgettable.
People's eyes roll back in their head, foaming at the mouth, growling like an animal, levitation.
Father Vince admits this all sounds strange, but the church does have a protocol to ensure people are not mentally ill. It includes having a physical and a mental evaluation. Then Father Vince looks for the 4 signs of the demonic.
There could be cases of, the church talks about 4 different types of extraordinary demonic activity. Obviously possession, there can be infestation, the presence of evil in a location or an object, demonic obsession, someone experiencing mental attacks, demonic vexation, someone experiencing physical attacks.
After the demons are identified and driven out, Father Vince says there's still more work to be done with ongoing pastoral care and prayer. And for Father Vince, it's that prayer that heals.
Because it really is praying with someone and praying over someone. Because I don't have any special powers or abilities. If people think that I have those abilities, we're all in trouble.
When you call the police to complain, it's imperative you have your facts straight. But that was not the case this weekend in Sharonville.
Hi, is this a sheriff?
This is Sergeant Mark Duddleson with the Sharonville Police. How can I help you?
I had 2 cops come here last night and steal my f***ing weed, and I want it back.
The call was shocking and a little bit comical at the same time.
Comical and shocking because the caller wanted help but went on a 5-minute expletive-laced tirade.
My wife had my weed in their purse, and the cops took it. It was only like 4 grams, but it was really good weed.
As the call continues and the sergeant calmly talks to the man, it becomes clear where the confusion lies.
From what I know, 100 grams is cool, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, he's wrong. 100 grams or less is only cool if you're in the city of Cincinnati and you're stopped by a CPD officer. If you're stopped by a sheriff's deputy or a state trooper, you could still receive a marijuana ticket. And once you leave the city of Cincinnati, you have to abide by state and federal law, which says marijuana is still illegal. Back to the tape.
What do you mean it's not, dude? Where you been the past 2 months?
Okay.
2 months ago, it got past 100 grams. You guys don't take it, no ticket.
Due to marijuana still being illegal at the state and federal level, we are investigating any incidents of marijuana the same as before. We can still use it as probable cause to search a vehicle if we smell it or if we see it. We're going to seize that marijuana. We're going to log it into our property room as evidence.
which is exactly what happened to the caller who said his wife's name is
Marilyn Manson.
in Sharonville.
It's only like 4 grams, but it was really good weed.
Walter Smith Randolph, Local 12 News.
Well, Rob, Local 12 sued the city of Cincinnati after they denied a request to look at these messages surrounding the resignation of former city manager Harry Black. These messages give us an inside look at the workings of City Hall, how city council members discuss city business when they thought no one was looking.
These text messages among 5 members of City Council give you a look behind the closed doors at City Hall. P.G. Sittenfeld, Chris Seelbach, Wendell Young, Tamaya Denard, and Greg Landsman all exchanging messages about personal affairs and city business. There's the innocent messages, like discussing Chris Seelbach's wedding plans and bachelor party. But there's also the nefarious, like Seelbach and Sittenfeld accusing Vice Mayor Chris Smitherman of using his dying wife as a political prop. Pamela Smitherman died of breast cancer in January. In another thread, Sittenfeld and Seelbach say council member Amy Murray lacks courage and an unwillingness to actually govern. The big takeaway, the Democratic Gang of Five discuss almost every major issue before city council meetings. This thread shows the strategy behind having a united front in the debate over the ousting of former city manager Harry Black. We should give John hell tomorrow, said Seelbach, referring to the mayor. Another thread shows Wendell Young accusing the mayor of lying, calling him Mini Trump. The messages also show some city council members thought the text thread might not be a good idea. Landsman saying, "We're coming close to opening ourselves up to a sunshine law issue." A very fair consideration, responds Sittenfeld.
Now, we did reach out to all of the council members involved. Seelbach and Landsman declined to comment, while we didn't hear back from Sittenfeld, Denard, or Wendell Young. Rob?